Today, we're talking about one of my favorite neighborhoods in St. Louis, Soulard. It is fun. You'll meet some great people here. It is so historic and so charming. So let's talk about it. In this video, I'm going to go over the lifestyle of living in Soulard, the location, the history, and the homes you'll see here, and things to do, because there's a lot. By the way, welcome to the Living St. Louis channel. My name is Jacob. Let's get right into it. Soulard is a very social neighborhood. It always has things to do. There's a very active nightlife scene, and the neighborhood just always has something going on. There's block parties, parades, community events. It is a really great area for just going out and doing things and meeting new people. Now, it is a busy neighborhood. Like I said, it's got a very active nightlife scene. So if you're looking for an area with the partying, the bars, the drinking, Soulard is the place to be. Another thing too is that it is a very laid back neighborhood. Everything is very casual. You don't really have a lot of these upscale bars and restaurants. It's all very, very casual. So if you're looking to go out in a tank top and shorts, most places in Soulard, that's totally fine. Another thing that you'll notice that's unique to Soulard is golf carts. Golf carts are absolutely part of the culture here. You will see people riding around on them, and it's a very Soulard thing you don't see in other St. Louis neighborhoods. You will also see plenty of people riding around on electric scooters. And aside from the bars and restaurants, you do have a lot of these local businesses, bakeries, coffee shops. You've got the Soulard Farmers Market, which is great if you want to go buy some spices, some produce, some flowers. There's a lot of goods you can buy there. One thing to keep in mind with Soulard is that you're not going to have any big chain grocery stores in the neighborhood. So if you're looking to go shopping at a Schnucks, Save-A-Lot, Aldi's, you're going to have to venture somewhere outside the neighborhood to go find that. Which brings me to my next point. Let's talk about the location and the layout of Soulard. Soulard is a unique neighborhood compared to other parts in the city, and you might hear it called the Island. The reason behind this is that Soulard is kind of separated from other neighborhoods because it's cut off by the highways. So you have I-55 and I-44 that kind of create this barrier around the neighborhood. So it feels a little bit separated and different from neighborhoods next to it, and it kind of makes it like its own territory. And then on the other side, you have the Mississippi River. Technically, you do have this industrial strip between Soulard and the Mississippi. It's this neighborhood called Kosciuszko. You might also hear it called Kosciuszko. It is a lot of industrial space and warehouses in between Soulard and the Mississippi River. So Soulard's the island. It kind of stands by itself, a little bit removed from the neighborhoods next to it. Let's talk about the history, because there is a lot of it in Soulard. It seems to be well known as the oldest still intact neighborhood in St. Louis. I say still intact because there were older neighborhoods, they just no longer exist. Soulard is also one of 8 certified historic districts in St. Louis City. Now, going along with that, there are some strict rules anytime you want to modify the exterior of a building in order to preserve the architectural standards. Now, this goes for whether you're renovating a house, townhome, a multifamily, and it also applies to new construction. So you'll notice there are plenty of historic homes from the late 1800s, and there's definitely infill of brand new homes, but you will notice they all have a very similar style. So the aesthetic of the neighborhood is pretty consistent. You will see a lot of these red brick homes and a lot of this historic architecture from different periods. So you'll see a lot of Italianate architecture, French Second Empire, and federal style homes. Definitely a lot of really cool architecture here if you're a history buff, and there's several very historic churches throughout Soulard as well. And Soulard is a place with a lot of French influence. So this is kind of the French quarter of St. Louis that used to be called Frenchtown before it was called Soulard. Let me tell you something funny. So Soulard is the French word for a drunk. And for the longest time, I thought that's why Soulard was called Soulard. I mean, it's a fitting name for the neighborhood that has all the bars and the nightlife that people love to come out and drink and get lit in. But actually, Soulard is named after Antoine Soulard, who was one of the early settlers from France that came here. So originally, Soulard had a heavy concentration of French immigrants, and then it shifted to more German immigrants and then more Eastern European people over time. Beer production was one of the main industries in the neighborhood, and there used to be a lot of breweries in Soulard. These days, Anheuser-Busch is the only remaining one, but it's pretty big. Now, let's talk about the homes you will find if you're looking to move into the Soulard neighborhood. You will see a variety of homes from brand new single family houses to these historic mansions and row homes. You've got some historic apartments, and then you've got some brand new apartment buildings. And there's a lot of options for multifamily if you're in the market for a duplex, triplex, or a fourplex. So Soulard really covers the whole spectrum of housing options, which is great because it really applies to a lot of people. So you're going to meet people from all walks of life if you live in Soulard. And by the way, if you are looking to buy or sell a house, condo, townhome in Soulard, get in touch. My group and I are practicing realtors in St. Louis. We love hearing from you guys who watch these videos, whether you live locally or you're moving from out of state. No pressure, totally up to you. Just text or email. Contact info is right below. Now, if you are looking at moving into Soulard, Russell Boulevard is going to be kind of this dividing street you want to know about. Like I said, Soulard is busy, especially at night, and on weekends, it can get rowdy, it can get chaotic and loud. Immediately around Russell and towards the north of Russell is where it tends to be a little bit crazier. You have way more of the bars and restaurants towards the northern half of Soulard. So if you're looking to be in the thick of it, consider that. If you want to be a little bit removed from that kind of scene, then towards the south is where you see a lot more just homes and townhomes and condos. You will still see your bars and coffee shops on the corners, but there is a different concentration towards the north of Russell and towards the south. Now, one pretty cool thing about Soulard you'll notice walking around that's a little bit different from other neighborhoods in St. Louis is that it has this very dense feel, because the homes tend to be pretty close together and a lot of them walk out directly onto the street or onto the sidewalk. So everything's very close together. You're not going to see as much of that front yard kind of look like what you'll see in Tower Grove, Shaw, Botanical Heights, Central West End. And you do tend to see smaller backyards in Soulard. Now, some homes might have some yard space, and a lot of homes also have more of like just an outdoor patio, either in the back or to the side of the house. So just keep that in mind. There's a couple different layouts you'll see, and a lot of these streets will have a back alley, so it's easy to find a home with a detached rear entry garage if you would like to have that as opposed to street parking. And some homes will have a little parking pad if it's not a covered garage. You're not always going to have a lot of backyard space in Soulard, but you do have some of these cute neighborhood parks. There's a members only dog park. There is a community garden. So if you're looking for some of that green space, you can still find that even if your house doesn't have much of a backyard. Now, the last thing I want to touch on is things to do, because there is a lot to do in Soulard. Really, there is something for everyone. You've got cute little coffee shops and bakeries. There are some great places to grab lunch or brunch. And then if you're looking for dinner, there's plenty of restaurants. You got bars and pubs that will have live music. And a lot of these places in Soulard will have a pretty nice outdoor patio or some kind of courtyard if you want to sit outside when it's nice out. Tons of bars and restaurants. These are just a few of the popular ones. You're going to have Molly's, McGurk's, Duke's, Bastille, Eat Crow, The Island, Calypso. I mean, those are just a couple, but there are literally dozens more I could list off. Now, when it comes to Soulard, you cannot talk about it without mentioning the Mardi Gras parade. So Mardi Gras in Soulard is a month-long celebration that ends with this absolutely massive Mardi Gras parade that basically turns into a street party afterwards. The streets are shut down, everyone is outside partying it up, and it is one of the largest Mardi Gras celebrations outside of New Orleans. And if you live close to where everything's going on during the parade, watch out, because your house will be the get-together place when your friends need to use the bathroom, they want to break from the chaos, and they just want to chill for a minute, because it is absolutely packed during Mardi Gras. You are either going to love it or you're going to hate it if you live in the middle of that. Like I mentioned before, you do have the Soulard Farmers Market, which is the oldest still operating farmers market west of the Mississippi. You can go there to get some fresh meat, flowers, spices, local produce, soaps and candles. I mean, there's really a lot going on. Now, the bar scene in Soulard is pretty active, so you've got a bunch of bars to go to, but you also have these trolley bars that you'll find in the summertime. So you will see these trolleys riding around the neighborhood with these little seats on them, and it's got like a bar in the middle of it for you to get a bunch of friends, sit on the trolley, and then just go for a ride around town. And towards the south of the neighborhood, you're going to have the Anheuser-Busch Brewery. It is massive. They've got a nice beer garden, and throughout the year, there will be special events and occasions at their brewery. During the holiday season, they've got all the lights up, and it is a fun place to go check out. I mean, you got a bunch to love about Soulard. It is just one of the classics of St. Louis. So much history, so many things to do, and some really great options for housing, whether you're looking for something on the more historic side or something recently built. You got plenty of options in Soulard. So again, give us a shout if you're in the market for a house or a condo. We would love to help you with that. And if you got any questions or feedback for me, definitely let me know down below in the comments. Outside of that, thank you for tuning in, and I will see you in the next video on the Living St. Louis channel. Take care.